I'm Ross McLellan, a team leader in solid form screening based at Cambrex in Edinburgh. We deal pretty much exclusively with pharma companies, and the range of pharma companies is from the very large to the smaller companies. And really what we aim to provide equivalent services for everybody. They've all got molecules that they want to proceed and progress to the clinic, and that's really where we are, to give them a really firm footing at the beginning so they know enough about the form of the molecule that they can then take further forward. The solid form screening team, we really want to identify the best form of a molecule which can then move forward into further development. We can do that by means of polymorph screening, salt screening, co-crystal screening. Really that helps to identify the best forms to take forward, the most stable forms, any relationships between the forms. And if we look at salts and co-crystals, then we can really modify the properties of the molecule to give enhanced solubility, for example. So that's really what we do in solid form screening. Alongside that, we really want to mitigate any risks. So if we do a thorough body of work in our screening programs, we can understand the risk that proposing a certain form of a molecule may have. And then we can think of ways to mitigate that risk as the molecule moves forward. And that kind of takes us into our crystallization development. So if we've got a selected form of a salt or a free form of a molecule, what we can then do is develop a crystallization procedure where we can produce the appropriate form with the appropriate particle properties, yield of reaction, impurity profile, and really focus on key aspects that will then be related to further scale up. So things like filtration studies, drying studies, which are again really important when you move from 100 grams to 100 kilograms basically. I think one of the main problems or issues that can occur is if there's form contamination. So this can occur for a variety of reasons. A new form pops out at a certain stage in a process which is not something you really want. So we have had examples of that. We've had examples where there's perhaps not been thorough polymorph or form screening procedures. So in that case, if they want to move straight to a crystallization development, then we need to be really careful about the steps we take during that development, because we could have multiple forms occurring as we go through the steps to try and develop that procedure to target the desired form. I think what that really does indicate though is that you really need to have two things working in tandem. You need to have appropriate form screening for your phase, and I think fairly comprehensive is where you should go to then minimise the risk as you move through the other steps, as we start to scale up the molecules to provide enough material that they can then go into the clinic for various trials and tox studies and so on. It's never too early to do your solid form screening, and it's never too late. If we don't do this early enough, we can have issues with impurities or different forms cropping up as the molecule moves through the development process. If the molecule does crop up extra forms, then again we'll need to do some screening to really understand what's going on. So the key point is get it done early, do your screening work early, and that really de-risks a lot of your future process work. The most memorable projects are where the client's really got an issue that they need to solve. We had one client who have their molecule which they're wanting to move on to a different company, and they had some IP issues and they really needed to extend their intellectual property. And to do that, they needed to have an alternative form of the molecule. Now, until this point, there was only ever one form of the molecule, and so we had to work quite quickly to try and discover another form of the molecule. We did, in the end, to discover this other form of the molecule, which made the client very happy. And this is good because getting the right result for your client, then they're more likely to come back and work with Cambrex again. We've got a very good reputation in the industry. I think more than that, we've got really good people. Might be slightly biased, but certainly in my team and in the other teams, we've got really good, committed people that really want to get the best for the client.